Welcome to Vagamundo's Online Podcast, a podcast for travelers made by travelers around the world. This is your host, Josue Sanchez. Stay tuned and remember, explore the world. Welcome back to the Vagabundos Online Podcast. This is your host, Josue Sanchez, and today I have a special guest with me. I met her a long time ago. She's a really good friend of mine, and let's go ahead and welcome Maria Jose.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting me, Josue.
You're welcome. I'm excited to have you here to talk about your travels and your passions and all the places you've been.
Yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite subjects, so I can just talk for hours about it. So hopefully your audience is entertained.
We got 4 hours.
Oh, okay.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I was born in Venezuela. I moved to the United States when I was 8, and I pretty much grew up here ever since. So I kind of have two homes. I say I was born in Venezuela, but my hometown is definitely Columbus, Ohio. Graduated from college. Go Buckeyes.
And how many languages? What other languages do you speak?
Okay, so I speak two. Obviously, I speak Spanish and then I speak English. I lived in Japan for a little bit, so I know Japanese. Ever since I moved back to the States, I will say I have lost it, which I'm really sad about. But so I kind of say I know Japanese now, but I don't know. I could probably pull a conversation again if I'm back there again.
Yeah, well, you can at least still watch TV and then anime and movies and stuff like that.
That's true. Although I got really sad the other day because I think I watched a Japanese trailer for a new, I think it was a video game. I can't remember. And I could not understand it. And I got really sad because I used to understand more. And then now I'm like, I understood half of it. And I'm like, I'm forgetting my Japanese.
It's all right. You just got to practice a little more and you'll come back.
Yeah.
It's like riding a bicycle.
Yeah.
So how has the coronavirus impacted you?
Oh man, this sucks. It sucks. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Everybody's on lockdown and it's definitely affecting my traveling. I had a lot of plans for traveling this year and I had to postpone. I want to hope I'm still going to Japan this year. I bought my tickets and everything and I don't know, I'm kind of in limbo at this point. I feel like everybody else is. They're just kind of in limbo trying to figure out, am I going to go? Am I going to continue to go? Should I cancel? Should I postpone? Or should I just write it out until it's closer and go from there? I don't know.
What do you think the future of traveling is going to be like?
I think that the airlines and stuff, they're going to be definitely struggling a lot. I think if they ever do find a vaccine, I think for the coronavirus, I think it may make things go back to normal. But in this waiting period while the scientists and everybody is working on this, you can travel, but you have to take a lot of risks. Every traveler will have to be they have to do more research about if they're going to a specific country, what do they have to self-isolate before they can tour that country. I think right now, if you go to Hawaii, for example, they give you a 2-week mandatory, you have to self-isolate before you can go to the beach or anything. So yeah. I think a lot of travelers are going to have to be prepared in this time to know where you're going, how the laws are set in that place. And sometimes you're going to have to not be able to do things because things are going to be closed, or you're going to have to wait until whoever do find a vaccine or whatever it is.
Yeah, I read in some of the countries you have to carry your medical papers showing that, you've taken the test. And, if you don't have that, you can't travel anywhere.
Yeah. Which countries have you heard?
In Asia, China and South Korea and stuff like that.
Although I will say props to the South Korean government for when you come in, apparently there's an app, and I read or saw a video or something where you arrive at the airport, they do the tests, and then they do a bunch of other screenings and stuff, and then they pick you up, you get a driver to pick you up, takes you to your place, and then like they drop food for you and stuff. It's crazy. I'm like, why is America doing that?
Yeah, I follow some YouTubers that were stuck in Argentina, and they're from Italy. And when they got to the airport in Italy, only one person can ride in the car. So
Oh wow.
one person, one driver, and one passenger per car. So they had to have two people, of course, because there were a couple, and that's the only way to travel. And you have to show paperwork that you're going to the airport to pick
Yeah.
someone up and stuff like that.
I think that's crazy. Can you imagine if you were like a family of like 5 people, like you, the parents, and then like the like kids? I'm like, this is a nightmare. This is not a time to travel at all.
Yeah, they'll be difficult. So, well, let's go ahead and move on to more happy things.
Yeah.
How long have you been traveling?
That's a tough question. Like, I obviously traveled with my family when I was a kid. But as an adult, I'd say I started back in 2012, so about 8 years ago. That's kind of when I started college, and I kind of just wanted to explore the world.
Where was the first place you went?
I went to Japan. That was actually my first place. I traveled by myself. I guess I was the first person in my family to travel to Asia. So that was
that
cool.
Scary being by yourself all the way over there?
I don't know. Like, I still think about it. I'm like, man, that was crazy, but I still did it. The good thing is, like, I had a friend whose parents lived in Japan. Like, her dad got transferred to work like the summer before. His job transferred her back to Japan. So I got to spend time with her family. So I knew someone. So I wasn't like completely like by myself.
Yeah.
For the first few days. After that, I decided to adventure to other parts of the country by myself. And I just took the train, had a backpack, and I just backpacked across the country.
How long did you do that?
10 days, about like a week and a half.
Did you already speak Japanese at that time?
No, not at all. I took like high school beginner Japanese, because my high school offered Japanese. But I took like 1 year of it. I knew how to say Ohayo gozaimasu, konbanwa, konnichiwa. That was it.
So tell me a little more about that experience, backpacking with a little bit of knowledge of the language and not knowing where you were.
Like zero knowledge. Well, I have many interesting stories from that trip. The good thing was I was able to leave my big suitcase and stuff at my friend's house. And then she was really nice because she had lived in Japan before. So I got to know a little bit about the transportation there. And I will say Japan is one of the most they're on top of it. Transportation wise, the train is always there on the dot, not a second more or not a second earlier. It will be there when it says it will be there. So, and it's very technologically friendly. So for example, Google Maps, if you needed to go to say you wanted to go to some place, you just go on Google Maps and it will tell you the trains to take. It'll tell you which direction the train is going. So it was really, really friendly, especially for foreigners. A lot of the signs, you think in Japan, you see the Japanese language and how it's not a Roman language, so it's not based on our alphabet and stuff. But the big tourist areas, Japan's very good about having signs in English, or what they call the romanji, which is the syllables in Japanese, but instead of written in the Japanese alphabet, it's written in the Roman letters, which is our alphabet.
C, D, E, F, G. Yeah.
So if I was ever lost, which did happen, I could always just find, this is where I am, because I can actually read where I am. And I had, back then, I will say I didn't have my cell phone. I only had an iPod. I mean, I was in college. I was cheap and broke, and all I had was an iPod that could connect to Wi-Fi. And like I said, Japan's really technologically friendly. So 7-Elevens and the convenience stores have free Wi-Fi. So
they're not like the 7-Elevens here in the United States.
Oh no, absolutely not.
I've seen some videos where it's awesome. It's cool to go to 7-Eleven.
Yeah, when I was living there, I swear I went to 7-Eleven every day, and I bought myself a ton of food there or ice cream. Because it was so cheap and the Wi-Fi was free. It was really nice. And then when I finally got to backpack and travel, I had I had that was like the first time I did like a hostel, which I didn't know about. Like I guess Japan was like my introduction to like
To
how to travel. Yeah. I didn't know that you could do hostels, and then like I thought you always had to deal with a hotel, and I'm like, that's so expensive. Hostels are like, and you can find somebody in Japan they're like $20 a night. So it was great. And then I really liked the hostel, like the hostel environment, because like you got to room with other people from other countries. There was like this girl from China. I can't remember her name. We haven't stayed in touch, obviously. So I don't remember her name. But she and I like met. So we were in the same dorm, and like we were in Hiroshima at the hostel. And then I had arrived like really late that night, and she had just arrived as well, so we came at the same time. I showered and she was unpacking, and she spoke English, which is really nice. I think English is such a convenient language. A lot of people speak it, so
universal language.
Yeah, and she spoke English really well. And I just told her, "Hey, do you want to go out for food? I have no idea where to go." And she said, she says, like, I think I saw this restaurant over here. So if you want to go, I'm like, yeah, let's go. And she talked a lot about her family. And it was just kind of cool that we got to talk, and I got to know a little bit about her. And she shared a lot of experiences with me, and she gave me some tips about Japan too. She's like, if you need to take a picture, because she's like, I don't speak Japanese. And she's like, and she told me like the word for Japanese for picture is sashin. So, or you can do the thing where like, where you the click. Because like one of the things that she and I share, because like we're both single, traveling by ourselves, we're women. And Japan's really safe, so it was, I guess, like the perfect place to go if you're like single, a female, and not wanting to worry about like danger.
Yeah.
And she said, like, honestly, like you can go in Japan at any time. I think Japan is like the perfect place to start your traveling adventure. It's a very safe area. It's very clean. It's very like tourist friendly. It's easy to get around in Japan. The people are so friendly. They're always willing to help.
Tell me about the food.
The food is interesting. Yeah, the food, it's not very oily, which is awesome because it's all based on like rice, like fish, and like seaweed. And it's just delicious. Like, I love it. I love Japanese food. I wish I could make Japanese food at home, but I don't have all the ingredients. It's hard to find sometimes.
What was at first when you had it? What was like weird that you were like, oh, I will never try that. But now it's like, oh, I love this. What's something like, or you don't have?
I don't know. I don't think I do.
What are some of your favorite dishes?
Oh, I love onigiri. Onigiri for sure. It's like people in Japan think I'm weird for saying that because it's like the simplest thing. An onigiri is like a rice ball, and like you can have anything inside of it, and it's usually wrapped around seaweed.
The seaweed, yeah.
Yeah,
aren't they usually like in a triangle or
they can
or a
be?
Ball? Yeah,
or
a square.
Yeah, they can be in a triangle or a square or a circle, like an oval shape. 7-Eleven, they're like $1 for one.
They're really good.
$1. They're so good. And I think that's the thing I'm most excited for when I go back. It's like being able to go 7-Eleven and buy an onigiri. Because the thing is, like, they wrap it so well. So while it's in the refrigerator, so the seaweed doesn't stick. I don't know how they maneuver it, but like you just peel it off, and then the seaweed wraps around it, so the seaweed's still fresh, and it's not like slimy because it's been with the rice moisture. I don't know. It's ingenious, and it's like less than $1, and I'm like, dang. And it fills you up.
Have you ever tried to bake it?
Yes, it's not the same.
It's not.
It's not the same. But that's definitely my favorite. Oh, and I love ramen. I think, that's one thing that shocked me a lot. Like the ramen there is so different than American ramen. Because here you just get the stupid Maruchan ramen that's like 10 cents. Doesn't have any flavor, tons of salt.
Or if you go to a ramen shop here, it's like $15.
Yeah.
Or over there, what? It's like $4 or $5.
Yeah. It's
$2.
And you can get all the ingredients you want in there. So, I don't know. Japanese food is delicious. I love it. I wish I could have more if Corona ever goes away. I am definitely excited to get my onigiri again.
What other places have you traveled?
Let's see. I've been to France. I've been to Italy. I've been to Mexico, but that was more when I was a kid. I still remember it. I was like 8 or 9. We went to Veracruz. Internationally, those are the three major ones I've been to. In the States, I've been to New York City. I've been to Philadelphia. I've been to Chicago, like Clearwater, Miami. I think Tampa. I think Clearwater and Tampa are pretty close.
Yeah, they're just about
like
30, 40 minutes away. Maybe.
Yeah, so I think
Did you go through that bridge that connects them?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty crazy when I went through that bridge.
I thought I was like, am I going to drive on water? Because it's like water everywhere. And you're like, what is happening?
Yeah, I was telling Ines that one time I had a dream that I was on this bridge and it just kept going up and it kept getting higher and higher and higher until like it did end. And then like I woke up because you were either dead or I don't know what happened at the end.
Yeah.
So that's what it reminded me of when I was there in that bridge.
Yeah, like it was great. And the thing is, like, I drove. This is one thing I hate to do. One thing I hate to do when I'm in a new place is drive. I don't like I don't mind driving in Columbus or whatever because I know it. I know where the roads connect. I know where I'm going. I can be the GPS. I know my north, west, south, and east. But in a new place, I will not drive. I'd rather be the passenger. And I think I remember going to New York City. I was with my niece, and I was fine driving to New York City. Mm-hmm. But as soon as we got to the city, like before the tunnel to get into Manhattan, I told her, like, pull over. And she pulled over and I was like, you're taking this. I'm not driving in this Manhattan downtown. I'm not aggressive. No.
It's just too much.
It's too much. And then I remember having to drive in Hawaii. Oh, I forgot. That was another place I've been to. Hawaii. I went with my niece and I went with my sister. My niece had just like the week before had come back from Mexico. She drove to Mexico and back. Wow. So she was like sick of driving. So she didn't want to drive anymore. So I had to drive. And then like we were there for a week. And then like 2 days before we were supposed to come back, I was like, I'm done. Someone else needs to drive. Like I took the courage to drive. I was like, I hate being in this environment. But the thing that sucked the most is like you're in a beautiful new place and you can't take a picture of the scenery because you're driving. You have to be focused on it. And you're like, I can't.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. So out of all these places, like which one has been, well, maybe I can answer for you, Japan, maybe.
Yeah.
But what are some other like awesome places that you've really enjoyed, like say in France or Hawaii? Like what were some of the spots that you enjoyed there?
Like in a specific city, like that.
Yeah, whatever that you can remember, like something that's stuck in your brain right now. That
So France, I think I have a little bit about each place. Yeah, and it's always food, and it's always food related, hey. Which is the best thing ever. So in France, my mom and I had booked a tour. It was a surprise. I actually surprised her to take a private tour up the Eiffel Tower. So we had to meet at the tour station, like at a certain time, and we had gotten there, and then they were saying, "Well, we're not ready yet, but you guys can go out and eat and then come back in like 45 minutes or something." Mm-hmm. So my mom and I said, okay. So we just walked around. And that's the thing about being like in a new country, just explore. Yeah. Just take a random street, see what you find. We took a random street. We went to this place. There's always menus at the front, especially in the big tourist areas. So you can always look at the prices and see what type of meal they're serving. And I think the beautiful thing about knowing more than one language is you're bound to find something that you can read. And it was really nice because like the menu was in Spanish.
Oh, nice.
And so my mom and I went in, and the guy was from Spain, the owner. And he was really nice, and he spoke to us in Spanish. We spoke to him, and he said, hey, we don't have a lot of time, but we just really want something. And then he says, like, what have you had so far? And we say like, oh, we've had a lot of bread and a bunch of spaghetti and a bunch of sauce. He's like, no. He's just like, when you're here, you got to try my steak. Ooh. And I was like, okay, bring it on, man. So he gave us like these amazing steaks. And to this day, It has been the best steak of my life.
No way.
It's so good. It was so delicious. And the sauce he put on top of it, it was like some sort of creamy thing. It was delicious. It was worth every penny. And we had dessert and everything. And he was super nice. And it was just like the best thing ever. And then after we finished our meal, we like went to the Eiffel Tower. The tower was lit up and stuff. And I think it was also our last night. So I think it was just like an end to a great trip.
It was
like,
cherry on top.
Cherry on top. That is like definitely like my mom and I still like when we're thinking about like our trip to France, we always say that steak, man. That steak. And I would go back there.
Well, do you remember the name of the
I don't remember the name of my mom.
Or the name of the
I know the crazy thing is that I know how to get there. But I don't remember what it's called. But my mom kept the napkin. Like she was saying like, I want to keep something from this place. Wow. So I think, I don't remember if she asked it or like on the table next to us, there was a napkin with the name and address of the restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she grabbed it and then she has it. She says like, I have it in my like treasure box or whatever. So if we ever go back to France, we know where to go.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that was one of my best places. I think anywhere I go, it's always food related. Just go on whatever road and see what you find.
What would you do different? Let's say if you return to one of these places, what would you do different?
I've been to Japan twice. I'm supposed to go a third time this year, pending Corona. And I think that's something I've been asking myself a lot because there's things I'm sick of. Like you've been there, done that. You don't want to do it again. And it's hard to do when you're taking someone who's never been there before. So I think, I don't know what's the best way to answer your question, but
like, let's say like something that went wrong the first or second time, like what would you different this third time?
What I would do differently is be more courageous. Like I'm a really shy person. So I think trying to talk more to the locals, which I know it's hard because of the language barrier. But I remember this experience in Italy, and it still haunts me to this day. I don't know why.
Tell us what happened.
So my mom and so I guess it's your preface is my mom and I travel a lot together. That's like one of my goals is always to take her to a new place. So we went to Italy 2 years ago. And we didn't really want to cook, but we didn't want to go anywhere. We were staying at an Airbnb, and really close to the Airbnb, there was like a supermarket. So we just decided to go to the supermarket and just grab like cheese and bread or something.
Yeah.
And I remember she and I were arguing. So I wasn't in a good mood and I was just hungry and I was tired and she wouldn't hurry up. And I think that's why I was mad at her. And I remember like when we were about to pay, the cashier said, I'm sorry for all Italian listeners out there if I'm going to butcher this, but he said, "What suade?" And I just looked at her and I was like, I have no idea what you said. I think you just told me like, good evening. And I just like said nothing, like not even a smile. Like nothing. and her demeanor just changed like, oh, like Americans. Like how rude.
Do you know what that means at this point?
I don't know. I like through all the tours I've been through, especially in Italy, I just kind of got the perception that Americans are not very loved. So one thing I told my mom was like, Mom, we cannot speak English. We have to speak Spanish. So they don't think we're Americans.
That's funny. I'm sure that happens a lot in other countries as well.
Because like they keep saying like, I'm sorry, fellow Americans, but we have butchered it in other countries. Like I hear all the stories about American tourists being super rude and like just not having a great perception in other countries. I try to avoid that, but I guess that night I was just like not having it. I was just not in a good mood and I felt so bad. And I still think about that grocery supermarket lady. Like she just told me good evening, I think. I don't know. And I was just not having it. So I guess if there's one thing to change, it's just like, one, like, obviously like watch your attitude, be like try to be as friendly as possible. Like you're going like, even though you're just you, like you represent something. So you have to put your best foot forward, because whatever person you meet, if they never met an American before, or if they never met a Latina before, you're their first impression, and that's what they're gonna think about the rest of
everyone else.
yeah, everyone else, which is like not fair. But it's the reality we live in. First impressions are everything, so you want to try to have your best foot forward and try to respect the country where you're visiting. Everybody, and this is why I love traveling, like everybody has different cultures, different customs. And I think like if you're going to a different country, you have to learn the customs there. Like you cannot expect to just go rolling in and being all gun-ho American and being like, give me my sandwich now. You have to, yeah, you kind of have to like understand like different countries do things very differently.
I was talking to another guest in my other podcast that's in Spanish, and she was telling me some of the tips that she does whenever she travels. She kind of educates herself as she goes, because sometimes, being a woman, you might have to cover your hair or do other things. And if you don't do it, you're being rude to their culture.
Yeah. That's one of the things that kind of like I wanted to go to like Egypt and the Middle East, like Saudi Arabia and Jordan, Israel. And one of the things I researched a lot about, it's like you have to have like a male relative, either your husband or something like that. And it's so various. As a woman, they're not very safe to travel.
Wow, that's very interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I remember talking to my nephew, Jacob, about traveling together, because we were going to do a trip to Spain and Portugal. We ended up not doing it, but one of the things like we talked about was going to Israel and stuff like that. And I said, if I'm going to go, you need to come with me.
Yeah.
Because I cannot, I'm a woman, I am single. This is a different culture. And I know some places are a little bit more lax and more understanding because you're a foreigner. But yeah, you still want to be as respectful as possible and obey the law. Because you don't want to be stuck in jail in a foreign place.
So since you've been to Japan so much, like what are some tips that you would give people that want to go there?
Do your research before. try kind of like we just talked about, like try to learn a little bit about the customs. I always say like transportation is key. It's very easy to get around Japan. If you want to explore different cities, they have what they call like the JR pass. And JR is like a major train line, and it's like connects you all through Japan. So if you want to do different cities, like if especially in the bullet train, the Shinkansen, like I remember when I first went to Japan, the Shinkansen from Tokyo to Kyoto was like about $300 one way.
Wow.
However, if you had the JR pass, it was free because you can get unlimited rides anywhere. And I think the JR pass, they have like a 7-day, a 14-day, and I think a 21-day. I can't remember, but the 7-day I think cost me like $200.
So it was cheaper.
Yeah, it was cheaper for me. It's cheaper for tourists. Like it's very cheap and convenient to just buy that pass, especially doing different cities. If you're just gonna stay in like one city, I wouldn't get it. But if you're definitely gonna do like, I call it a different island hopping.
Yeah.
Because Japan's made up for like 4 different islands. Like you can use the pass. But you have to be careful because like not every island has the JR line. I mostly stayed in the Honshu, which is like the main central island, where you have like Tokyo, Kyoto, Hiroshima, all of that. So I could take the JR pass, and I just went all the way down and then went all the way back up to the north.
How expensive are like Airbnbs and stuff like that over there, or hostels and stuff like that?
Yeah. Oh, super cheap. Super cheap. Super cheap. Like, I think the cheapest I paid, the least I paid was like $20 a night.
Oh, wow.
So they're pretty accommodating. And even like if you're not a tourist, like Japan's pretty like innovative in the fact that like they understand a lot of like workers travel a lot. That's one thing that was super bizarre for me. Like living there was like I had like friends who they lived in one city, but then they worked in another, and their commute sometimes was like 3 hours one way and then 3 hours back. I'm like, why are you're just spending this whole time in the train? But because of the custom there, you could get like hotels, like pods where you can just stay the night for like $10.
Wow. It's very affordable there.
It's super affordable. Food is really cheap to find. Obviously, if you want to spend a little bit more cash and comfort, yeah, you got to pay up. But if you're pretty flexible where you can sleep anywhere, you could find something pretty accommodating.
That's cool. Do you follow people online that, travel and you watch their YouTube, Instagram and stuff like that?
I have an Instagram, but I don't follow a lot of people there. I do mostly YouTube. I think that's probably like my most thing where I try to find ideas or suggestions. For Japan, there's this channel called like Rachel and June.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I've watched them. Yeah.
Okay,
they're a couple, cool. And they're all over.
Yeah, they're a couple. Yeah,
try different foods and stuff like that.
I think they were like my guide to go into Japan my first time. I think I found her. I think Rachel, she did a video about like top 5 things not to do while you're traveling in Japan and stuff like that, and just like videos like that just helped me a lot. So I definitely follow them. I still follow them. There's like other channels like Eat Your Kimchi.
Oh, I haven't heard of that one.
No, they were based in Korea. They were really good, but now they moved to Japan. So nice. A lot of their traveling now is just like Japan based.
In Japan. Have you ever thought of you opening your own YouTube channel?
I'm not very tech savvy. Remember when I had to ask you at the beginning, like, how is this going to work? Like, are you going to record my video too?
What would you call it if you opened one?
I have one, which is where I follow everybody. I call it the Analytical Chick. I don't have any videos posted. I'm a watcher. I'm not a creator.
Everybody that's listening to this podcast is going to start accepting or subscribing to your channel. So
subscribe to my channel that has no videos, but I do follow a lot of people.
Well, you better start uploading something.
I don't know. Maybe you should give me some ideas about what to upload. I watched your stuff.
Well, thank you.
Your stuff is cool. I was really impressed. Like, you put a lot of quality and I could tell you put a lot of time into it.
Yeah, it does take a lot of time to edit videos and put music and stuff like that. But some people are interested on that and some are not, and just whatever. I just do it for fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I remember seeing one of the first ones that I watched. I think you and Inez went on a hike. Mm-hmm. Well, you guys been going on a lot of hikes.
Yeah, we got a lot of hikes.
But I just remember there was one part of the video where you had cut off, and then you took the time to explain in a diagram the area, and it says this is X mile long and blah blah blah, and it surrounds the river or whatever not.
Yeah,
and I was I would not have thought of that. I would have been I'm here at the hike. Follow me.
Yeah. I think that's the hardest thing about YouTube is you got to keep people entertained, right? If you just sit there and talk all the 15, 20 minutes, people are just going to get out of, stop the video. So, but yeah, you just got to be creative. But I think that you would have some really cool stuff. But how can people follow you or you have a Facebook or TikTok or anything?
I do have a TikTok. Oh man, I want my TikTok to blow up. I am working on that one. I should probably get a different name for it. I don't know. I'll have to work on it. But it is, you can't follow. Yeah. I gotta look it up because I don't remember.
That's the hardest thing is to get followers and have people, to watch your stuff. That's been the hardest thing for me. And the name, finding a cool name.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think you did a lot of ones where clickbait was involved, and I was like, clickbait. It's like I still clicked.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how people get a lot of followers. Just put very vague titles so people want to know what's about.
My favorite one was like, I got scammed. And I was like, ooh, I want to know what happened. So I watched that video.
Yeah, I was trying to do a live YouTube video from the airport, but since I don't have enough followers, YouTube won't let me do a live video. So I ended up just recording it on my phone and then upload it right away. So I couldn't even edit what I was trying to, the message that I was trying to relay.
Oh, gosh, YouTube, why do you be so dirty to everybody? Yeah. Okay. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, I think that's when I travel. I post a lot of there. So I guess you could follow me by going ma_che_93. Maybe I'll get a cool one later so I can like be easier to follow.
So let's go ahead and spell that. That's MA_CHE.
Yeah. And then _93.
All right, cool. And that's where you have your traveling pictures.
Yeah, that's where I post all my traveling stuff to everywhere I've been. And then my TikTok is just my name. It's just Maria J. Ortega. I'll be creative. I'll open up another one. I'm not very good with social media.
No, that's fine. But you can really find really cool stuff.
I will say I started during this quarantine TikTok. I downloaded it and I can't stop.
It's hard to stop the TikTok videos.
It's so hard. I did one. I think that's my most viewed one. It's like I remember when I first started, it's like I just want to get 100 views, not even followers, 100 views. And I got so excited when I reached 100. I was like, oh my gosh, that's TikTok famous.
Yeah, I recently uploaded one of my cats. She likes to get on top of my router.
Yeah, I saw that one.
So I finally recorded her and I'm like, what are you doing on top of my router? And she started meowing. Let me tell you the one I follow from Japan. Her name is Charmander. I don't know if you've heard of her. Charmander.
Is this on YouTube or
TikTok? On YouTube.
Charmeleon. Yeah. Oh, I think I saw some of her stuff like years ago.
Yeah, I've been following her. I think she was the first YouTuber that we started following her when we were like planning to go to Japan like 4 or 5 years ago. And then that's how I found the other ones. I like that Rachel and June because they were pretty cool, like young couple. She's the one with the red hair, right?
Yeah. And he's Japanese.
He's Japanese or Korean or
no,
Japanese.
I think he's Japanese. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching. That was the second YouTubers that we were following with Ines, and just watching them through their stuff. It was really cool.
They haven't posted a lot of stuff lately, which I'm kind of like, maybe that's another impact. I think we talked about that earlier about how the coronavirus has affected everybody. Like everybody is just kind of stuck at home. They can't really share their traveling adventures with the world.
Yeah. Now, some of the YouTubers that I follow, they just turn into like cooking channels because they're stuck at home. So they're just cooking all their favorite dishes. And they're like, I don't know how it's going to be, but I'm going to try to cook.
Yeah. Or like they're doing DIYs.
Yeah.
Trying to renovate this part of their home or something.
Building a barn and goats and chickens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe you should make a video of making tequeños or something like that.
Okay, this is the thing. I cannot cook Venezuelan food. My mom.
You should record your mom making a.
Oh, maybe I can make a channel out of that.
Make a Venezuelan cook channel.
But the thing that's sad is like the other day, the key dish I would say that you would think about Venezuelan dish is una arepa.
Yeah, una arepa, yeah.
I have never made an arepa in my life before. And my mom, who like makes food for a living, it's like appalled by this. She's like, I am a cook, and my own daughter can't make an arepa. I'm like, Mom, you never really let me.
You know what would be so funny is you trying to cook.
I did try.
That would be really cool.
I bought harina pan, which is like where you make it from, and I made it. And I took a picture, and my mom's just like, "What a disgrace! It looks horrible." It's like, at least it tastes good. But yeah, I tried, but like, I don't know,
That's
Venezuelan food is like, I leave that for my mom.
Yeah.
I leave that for her.
Well, is there anything else you would like to talk about or to let our listeners know?
I don't know. I guess just for your listeners, like, just have fun. That's the whole point of traveling. Like, don't get stuck in a schedule. Like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. Like, just give yourself time to explore and just enjoy being in the moment. Because you don't know when you're gonna come back to that country or if you're ever gonna come back.
Yeah.
But also, I will say too, I like traveling internationally, but travel within your own place too. One of my goals this year, before Corona happened, was to travel more within the United States. And I had planned trips to go. One of the few things before Corona, I did end up going to Philadelphia. And I'm a big history buff, so I love any historical place. And I was just like, what better way than the founding fathers, where they wrote the Declaration of Independence and all these stuff. And I just went. I just took my car and I went. But also, like, try to explore your local areas too. And I think that's one of the things I like about your YouTube channel. Not to like follow Josue and Inez Adventures.
Yeah.
But you guys explore a lot of stuff in Ohio that I've never heard before. And I have a list on my phone of things like areas I want to go, parks that I want to go to in Ohio. And I'm just like, there's so much nature out here. And I never knew about this random metro park that you guys went to last, whatever video you posted. Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
At Horseshoe Falls.
Actually, I never heard of this. When I thought about nature in Ohio, I always think about Hocking Hills. And I've been there so many times.
Yeah, you kind of get bored if you go to the same place. But it's always cool to explore different places. And we want to go to West Virginia because they have some really cool places to go hiking as well.
Yeah, I may go white water rafting in West Virginia this summer with Corona, but we'll see. But yeah, I will always say, like, if you can't, if for economic reasons or Corona reasons or whatever reason it may be, you can still take your car and you can drive around and find something. I think one of the biggest inspiration for me to travel is I hate being stuck in my same routine. And just even with a car, I can just go on a drive and I can find this random middle of nowhere Ohio.
Would you ever consider, like, let's say if you won $1 million or something, would you consider buying or making a van, a travel van or an RV or something like that? And then
I've seen I've seen the YouTuber that does that. I can't remember her name. Like she has a van.
Yeah.
But
would you ever do something like that?
No. I don't know why. But I will not, because I think I need a shower. And that's the thing that grosses me out about her van. It's cute and everything, but there's no shower. Like, my hair gets really greasy and oily really fast, and I gotta wash it like every other day. And I still need to feel human. Maybe an RV would be fine, because that's still a little bit bigger.
There are some RVs that I've seen, or not RVs, but some of the vans that I've seen that do have a little portable shower and stuff like that, but it's still not the same, it's very inconvenient. But I would definitely love something like that, but I don't know if I could live off of it. I could go for like a weekend or something. Yeah.
And I think that's like what great about like my job where I'm working now is I get pretty flexible hours. I get a lot of like pay time off, and I can even work for pay time off.
Wow.
So that's been a blessing. Like, I've been able, like, I still have my apartment and everything, but when I want to, I can just say I want this week off. And if no one else has that week off, like, they're pretty lenient on it. To let me have that time off. So, and it breaks the routine. I think one of the things I need is I need to change my routine. I need to be somewhere else for like a little bit, even if it's just like a weekend. I just need to go to a different city or explore something new. I cannot wait if they do build that supposed high speed train.
A train that's gonna go from East Coast to West Coast and stuff.
No, there's more. Yeah, but I think there's one that's supposed to from here to Chicago.
Oh wow,
have you not heard about that?
I read about it like 2-3 years ago, but I'm like, it never happened, so I don't even think if it's gonna happen or not.
Apparently, like Columbus won the contract for it, so because it will stop in Columbus. However, then I read another article more recently, like whatever happened to that? I haven't heard anything since about us winning the contract. And I think I read like a few months ago that this is not like planned anytime soon. This is like 2055 that they're thinking that they're gonna start building this. And I'm like,
we'll probably have flying cars by then.
It's like, I will not be alive probably. I will be in retirement. Who knows?
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming to the show. I really appreciate you sharing your stories and all the stuff that you've talked about today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is fun. Hey, breaking the routine.
Yeah, it's pretty
being
cool.
Quarantined.
I love talking to people, and it's just a really good way to stay connected and just let other people know that there are cool places out there and stuff that you can do when you're there.
And there's cool stuff to do in your city too. So
yeah,
just get out there, explore.
Just get out there and explore the world. That's the saying of the show. Explore the world.
I like it. Explore the world.
All right, so thank you all for listening to the show. Make sure you subscribe. Look me up on Spotify or Apple Android Podcast. I also upload my episodes on my YouTube channel, Vagamundos Online. And remember to explore the world. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.